Lasco was picking up speed now, building toward something with every breath. "Shake a leg, Andy. Here's a place we can sit." The place was a rough cube of concrete set back from the tracks and prickly with rusty metal. It was barely big enough to hold them both, but they managed somehow, feet dangling and trousers touching perilously. Lasco fished a match and a cigarette from his shirt pocket. "Want one?" Andy shook his head. He had tried that once and found it unpleasant. "It's a Camel." "That's okay." Lasco struck the match against the concrete, lit the cigarette, and took a long drag, staring into space with shiny black marble eyes. Down the railroad tracks, red and green lights were blinking like lost pieces of Christmas. "How does that poem go, anyway?" There was only one poem that Andy knew by heart, Tennyson's Lotus Eaters. He had recited a portion of it in Mrs. Peacock's English class to a sea of listless faces, unaware that he had caught the fancy of anyone, much less Lasco. "I don't know at all," he said. "Just do what you know." The tip of Lasco's cigarette went bright orange in anticipation. Andy thought a bit. Okay. He straightened his spine for the recitation. "Eating the lotos day by day to watch the crisping ripples on the beach and tender curving lines of creamy spray, to lend our hearts and spirits wholly to the influence of mild-minded melancholy, to muse and brood and live again in memory with those old faces of our infancy." He stopped, embarrassed, unsure how much he could remember. Lasco was still gazing ahead, his face wreathed in smoke. His leg was still pressed against Andy's, warm as a radiator and just as solid. "Have you ever been to a beach?" Andy said he had never even seen an ocean. "Me neither. They have beaches in Frisco, but it's too cold to swim in the ocean, so they all go to this big swimming pool. Indoors, with big glass windows and stuffed bears and a penny arcade. They have a big water wheel up above it." "What do you mean?" "Like at a sawmill, you know." Lasco turned to Andy, his face so close that Andy could feel the breeze of his tobacco-y breath. "Only you jump into it, and it tumbles you round and dumps you into the pool, one on top of the other." "Wow," murmured Andy, ostensibly about the mechanism, but mostly at the thought of being tumbled round and dumped on top of Lasco. "Really nifty," he added, impersonating the hail fellow tone of the Hardy Boys. "I figured you for the adventurous type," said Lasco. "Soon as you brought that book to school." He looked down at the valise, waiting at their feet like a puppy craving attention. "I can pull this off, Andy, but I need a buddy to help me." "Pull what off?" "My escape to Frisco." Andy envisioned that rattle-trap truck bouncing over the Sierra, dropping hubcaps at every treacherous turn. "That's a long trip, Lasco. My mama won't let me drive that far." "We ain't talking to your mama." He shook Andy's knee conspiratorially. "Or my mama neither. Besides, you don't need to drive me. I just need you to help me for one day. Right here in town. Easy as pie. You can be my alibi." Those 5 words, with their presumption of intimacy, seduced Andy so completely that they might have been imprinted on a candy Valentine heart. "Do you have your own car?" he asked. "I got more than that," said Lasco. "I got a dozen cars, and they're all air-conditioned." Andy gaped at him. "The Rexall train?" "See?" said Lasco. "Look how smart you are."